Hi everyone. For this week's discussion, I chose the Battle of Camden, South Carolina, or known as the Battle of Camden Courthouse, that occurred on August 16th, 1780, and ended with a British victory in the Southern Theater. I chose this battle because I think it's really important during the Revolutionary War, and because I'm from Camden, South Carolina, so I've been to the location of the battlefield before, and they have a whole little setup near the battlefield with tours and gift shops, and they have reconstructed buildings and whatnot for people to come check out. Um, to summarize the Battle of Camden, it was not a very good victory. It was not a victory for the Patriot Army at all. The British victory won. The British Army won with the command of Lieutenant General Charles Cornwallis, and the Patriot Army lost within command of Major General Horatio Gates, in which he was replaced by Major General Nathaniel Greene after his defeat at the battle, which would be an upside because Nathaniel Greene would lead the Southern campaign until the British surrender at Yorktown, Virginia in 1781. Furthermore, the Battle of Camden is viewed as significant due to a couple of reasons. First, the defeat of the Patriot Army was seen as one of the worst defeats in the field, and the British kept temporary control of the southern colonies after their victory for not too long, but a little while. Second, the military career of Horatio Gates ended, well, was diminished afterwards and was replaced by Nathaniel Greene, as mentioned before. And Charles Cornwallis's military career would be uplifted, and he would be viewed as a more respected officer after his victory at the Battle of Camden. And since the battle ended and the Revolutionary War ended, the historic Camden Foundation has put into place to preserve the battlefield as well as protect, educate, and celebrate Camden's colonial and Revolutionary War history. Recently, the historic Camden Foundation resumed ownership of the 476 acres of the battlefield of Camden, as well as restoring the long leaf pine forest where the battle took place. Touring of the battlefields is optional and free to the public during daylight hours. Um, let's see, two interpretations of the battlefield. One is understanding Camden, the Revolutionary War, Battle of Camden as revealed through historical, archaeological, and private collection analysis is by James B. Legg, Stephen D. Smith, and Tamara S. Wilson. Basically, they go over what happened at the Battle of Camden in 1780 on August 16th, and just go over what they viewed as important and how archaeological evidence supported and did not support certain views. Another article by Kenneth E. Lewis, Little Better Than a Heap of Rubbish, History, Legend, and the Archaeological Record at Camden. He goes over basically the same thing as they did, goes over what he thinks is important, what's not important. On page 234 of his article, he mentions that Camden was largely destroyed in a massive conflagration. Um, um, no, then one aspect that survived out of the battle was the British military hospital. It was Camden had a central location in the network of interior military posts that made it an ideal location. So overall, Lewis goes over what he viewed as important during the Battle of Camden, which he thinks is the Battle of Camden was really important, and it should not be deemed as just a pile of rubbish, and that not everything was destroyed in Camden during the battle, and that Camden was still intact after the battle occurred. Lastly, I would take my students to the historic Camden Foundation area where they have the gift shops and the buildings and the reenactment of the Battle of Camden, and as well as the actual battlefield of Camden. I think it would be very historical, and it would help them learn Even though the Patriot Army was defeated by the British and Cornwallis in 1790, they still continued and won the Revolutionary War against the British and gained their independence in the end.